Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Régine.
Hi, Cassandra. I'm so happy that we're doing this. I really am. I didn't think that we'd be having these interviews on camera. Um, However many years later, how many years, Cassandra? 12 years we've been
I
here?
think just about.
12 years we've been here.
We've been together a long
A
time.
long time.
And I think even before you actually were literally here, haven't we done something? I seem to remember. That's why we
Yeah,
know each other.
that's how we
We've
met.
already
Yeah.
did something before.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to just like a little icebreaker before we get into the questions and just feel very grateful for you, Hannah, and everything that you've offered the Haitian community, the community of Crown Heights, and us Haiti Cultural Exchange to have space, to take up space, to share our culture. It's been very, very special. Very.
Well, it was space, and you might as well share it.
Yeah. Not everybody feels that way. You know, you're special in that sense.
No, that's because I grew up under communism. And we share.
Yeah.
It's one good thing about it.
Should we start with our names, Abby?
Sure, yeah, no problem. So just tell me your names, who are your people, and what do you do?
Ooh, I'm Kassandra Khalil. I'm the program director of Haiti Cultural Exchange. I'm also an artist, and my people are Régine and Hannah. My people are
Yeah.
worldwide, but I'm thankful for my people being from Miagwan and from Port-au-Prince and for connecting me to creativity and ultimately back to this community.
And I'm Hanne Tierney. I'm the director and founder of FiveMyles. It was started in 1999. And my people are, Ruby works for me and George, who does all the installations. But basically, we are holding the fort in this place.
Yeah. My name is Régine Roumain. I'm the founder and executive director of Haiti Cultural Exchange. My people are Hannah and Cassandra, very much so, very much so. I was born here in Brooklyn, so my people are also Brooklyn. I went to middle school and high school in Haiti, and so that very much marked my upbringing. And the vast majority of my career has been right here in Brooklyn, right here in Crown Heights. And Crown Heights is my neighborhood. I live here and I work here. And Haiti Cultural Exchange and the vast community of artists, of stakeholders, of community members that have been part of this social experiment movement, creativity are very much my people. Whenever I step into a Haiti Cultural Exchange event, I feel like I'm going to a family reunion, you know?
It's true. I can tell whenever I come in and there is a cultural exchange event, it's all one big family for everybody who comes.
Yeah, which has been a special thing to foster and to create. And I think having been here and had the opportunity to be in this space with you, Hannah, in the early years, because we moved in here in 2011, seeing how you fostered community and how important it was for you to connect with the fabric of Crown Heights, and seeing these kids being baptized here and weddings here and our neighbors popping in at any given time, seeing kids come in and run, and now they have children of their own
Who still come in and run around.
And they bring the children in.
But we learned from that. Learned from that. I don't think we would have known that innately, how to create space and how to create community inside of a brick and mortar space. Of course, our traditions.
You come from a warm and loving tradition, and you would have done exactly the same.
But we had a very, very strong example.
Mm-hmm. And I think the whole community totally liked that you were part of it, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
I think, Hannah, to both of your points, I think one of the things that would have been different was about how much Haiti Cultural Exchange has always been about supporting Haitian artists and creativity that highlights Haitian diaspora and Haiti located culture. But it's always also about welcoming so many more people in. And that, I think, is the gift that FiveMyles gave us, was that type of warmth already, and people are already curious already and trusting already. Yeah,
everybody felt free to come in, whether it was the Haitians or whether it was, the South Americans or whoever came.
Anne and Régine, how were you introduced to each other? And when?
How are we introduced to each other and when?
That's what we're trying to remember. It was before Régine actually started working here and had an office. We have done projects together before, and we cannot remember. I'm excused.
Kassandra, you want to tell the story?
Oh, I definitely remember meeting Hanne. Definitely remember, because it was the most kind of like chaotic day. It was one of those like scorching New York days, and Régine was big pregnant with your second child. And I remember us walking through the doors when it wasn't these lovely glass doors, these kind of like dangerous metal grates. And we walked in, and Hanne is like, "What are you doing walking into this space?" Because we were looking for a venue for a performance. What are you doing on your feet? You need to sit down. You need to sit down.
You're too pregnant to be walking around.
Yeah, like you were frustrated with us around something that felt like about care, and that was really, really exciting.
When she was pregnant.
I was. So fast forward, we pitched this idea. This is what I remember. We pitched this idea for a performance, and I don't remember which performance.
Right.
We can go look at the archive, but we pitched an idea to have a performance, and I was like, Ja Ra Ra is already rehearsing here. I already have a Haitian presence. I know Engels, and you named a couple of France was already part. France Desirus was already part of it. I already work with the Haitian community. Of course, you can come have an event here. We had one, we had two, maybe more. And then we were really outstretched, because prior to that, Kassandra and I were working from my home. We were working from local cafes in Fort Greene, putting together all of these programs, working from cafes. And we started to feel like, oh my goodness, we can't keep on doing this in this manner.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous, Hanne. I was so nervous. I was sweating. And I said, can we have a meeting? And we went and we had a vodka at Barbarino's.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, we're looking for space, like permanent space. Would you consider us having permanent space? And I thought you were going to put us up there. I really did. I was thinking, okay, just a desk up there. And Hanne was like, no, I'm going to subdivide my studio. This is wonderful timing. You said it was wonderful timing, because the whole space in the back was your studio. And then we started renting and having a studio space from there. But it was just like, I was so nervous, and you said yes immediately.
Well, I thought it was great to have more going on, but also it is a big studio. It wasn't like I was giving up something desperately needed.
Yeah, and you were able to keep your studio and continue to work, and so that was wonderful. And then I remember meeting Nicholas for the first time, who was the board chair at the time, who still is a very good friend of the organization. And
he's our treasurer.
Oh, he still is the treasurer. I know that.
Yeah.
So now it's, 12 years of knowing Nicholas. And you took me to his apartment in Williamsburg just to make sure you were making the right decision, that you didn't say yes to some crazy person, And Nicholas vetted, the situation, and he was like, this sounds lovely as well. This sounds lovely as well.
Well, he takes his responsibilities seriously.
Yeah.
Because he knows I just kind of say yes.
You do.
I know.
You do.
But
it's been a wonderful yes.
Always wonderful.
To me, to all of us, because, we're going to do another year and see where it takes us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited.
Amazing. Speaking of another year of events, can you describe the feeling or an experience that you had at an older HCX event at FiveMyles that made it memorable?
I remember one of the first Poésie en bâtonnels, the performances we do on the sidewalk with the musicians and the poetry.
The storytelling.
The storytelling,
I
exactly.
loved that.
The best.
Yeah.
And I remember it was special for me because it was when we started really using the garage space, and it was still pretty unfinished in there. And so we had to build like a backdrop.
There was a motorcycle in
There was a motorcycle in it for a long time.
It was a Haitian motorcycle.
Yeah,
It was from a
Mario's
neighbor
motorcycle.
who simply parked it in
Yeah.
our garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to build a set for the performers, and I used your gray
Yeah.
blackout curtains. And I was so freaked out because I'm like, never done this before. I'm like, giant pieces of paper I'm cutting out, trying to do shadow work. And Hannah's like, you got it. Why are you using a stencil? Just go. Do it. And that was so special. I loved that.
And those were great performances when we could use that plus space, as a background for what spread out into the sidewalk. See, that's the great thing, that we have that wide sidewalk and that performances can happen there without seeming squished or bothering people with baby carriages. And that's always been one of the best things.
Absolutely.
And you used it well.
We did.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic maybe took us out of using it, even though we could have. But we decided to go to like the Brooklyn Botanic Garden and do outdoor events there. Yeah. But we're excited to bring that back again in the spring and have a lot more outdoor events. I think one of my favorite events is with Maestro Boulot Valcourt, whose photo is here, part of the archives. It was also outside. And people were dancing in the streets to his music and turning around, and the neighbors would come, and we were all dancing, and it was just so
great.
Joyous.
That was the best time, when we used to always dance at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Even the people from the old people's home would come over and, do what they could do.
Yeah. We still dance at a drop of a hat,
though.
Well,
but it was more impromptu on the sidewalk with people just joining. So,
how do you feel both of your organizations have been shaped by being in relationship with each other in this way?
I spoke to it a little bit earlier. I think the philosophy that Hanne has brought in. Similar, community-based organization, focused on the arts and of community. Of course, in the earlier years, but you always did performance. It was always a big part of it. But I think the philosophy of openness, of welcoming, of community grounding, I think really helped to shape Haitian Cultural Exchange, I will say. How we helped to shape FiveMyles, I don't necessarily know, I think we brought a vibrancy of another community that may not have had access to this kind of sharing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah.
I think you're both say yes organizations, yes and figure it out later organizations. I think that's one of the reasons why everyone comes to you with ideas at any point of day or night or phone or text or email, because you understand how essential it is to make sure culture and arts and creation can happen spontaneously and with excitement and without meter of dreams. I think you both continue to shape each other in that way.
And I think for the whole area here, for the community outside, we're just completely the same thing, actually, in some way, And it's the Haitians and FiveMyles. Sort of how I perceive how people see us.
Makes it. So FiveMyles and HCX are really always been artist spaces. Being here is a tactile and process experience and a place for connection making. Can you give us a few words, a story, or a proverb, any anecdotes that you might have that you feel resonates with these themes and what they mean to you?
This building is alive. It talks to you. It throbs. It sweats. It cries.
It echoes.
It echoes.
Yeah, but it has good musicians like to perform.
Oh, yeah.
It has really kind of a good sound to it. It also has tremendous leaks. Groundwater comes out. The sewage pipe is frozen stiff. It's a very problematic old building. It was made in 1908, as a showroom for I can never pronounce it, Buicks, the car. And they would drive them right in. We built all the walls. This wall we built, the front walls. It was all changed. It was a totally fallen down old garage building when I sort of found it. And
one proverb that comes to mind, and I think in some other archival interviews that we've had, this has come up, but it's piti piti, zoiseau fait niche. Little by little, the bird makes its nest. We just do,
that's nice.
And we experiment, and we try things, and then we have a nest. And the nest has been a very warm incubator.
Well, it's sort of a home for us, isn't it? A home for us.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. But piti piti, zoiseau fait niche. Little by little, the bird makes its nest. We don't have to have it all figured out. We don't have,
we didn't.
We don't. And we didn't.
Still don't have it figured out. Okay.
But we're going with the experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hanne, tell us about when you found this building in its state after being a Buick showroom and becoming whatever it was. What happened when you acquired it? So folks...
Well, I had to check with the foundation who owns most of this building. But the really, really strange and wonderful thing is when I first sort of saw it and I called Herbert Faber and he said, okay, fine, Immediately the neighborhood was kind of friendly and glad. And, this old building, somebody's doing something with it. And I started asking people to help with the work. The staircase was built by people from the neighborhood. And slowly it just sort of became the neighborhood's building in a particular way. This is really what you cannot ever take away from this neighborhood. It's just the building for the neighborhood. And there was an urban cowboy who had not a horse in here, but some kind of little truck. He was, messing around with his truck because we didn't touch it. We were just fixing up. And about 5 months later, he comes riding down the street on a horse to say hello, to see what happened to the building. And it was literally a horse that he sat on. And then he rode off. And I never seen him again or heard from him again. So that was sort of my big liking of this building, that somebody in the horse felt so related to this building.
But it took a process, though, Hanne, for you to create a gallery and to start FiveMyles here in this space.
Yeah. Looking back on things you can't remember because it all falls in place.
Yeah.
And what you said about the bird, you just pick up a twig and put it somewhere. It just slowly grew into this place.
Now, generations from now, what do you envision for art spaces in New York, and what do you hope for?
For art in New York?
Yes.
Art spaces.
Art spaces in New York?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the not-for-profit spaces are actually increasing, even though the funding seems to be definitely going down in New York State and New York City. And for small theater spaces, which happens to be my field, those places are just closing down a mile a minute. But small art spaces, more and more and more are coming up. Sort of my feeling. There's something glamorous about art, and young people, it gives an identity you're proud of, and young people go into it, and the spaces follow it. And it's really, even around here,
Yeah, there's been
spaces
a
are
lot
coming up.
more art spaces, a lot more galleries, some synergy going on.
And that's why we have to do performances, because we're people who do these kind of experimental performances. They have very few places now because they've been closing down. Yeah.
I agree with you, Hannah, around, yes, young people, yes, small art spaces, but it's just space in general in New York has become such a different feeling. And to have places of creation, but also playing with ideas till you arrive at something that means something more to you as an artist, right, is very important.
Yeah.
That is not really growing as well as we'd like to see as an opportunity around performance work specifically, but also visual work. You know, a cafe exhibition is fantastic, but
more and more stores are doing it.
Yeah. And that's one way, but what does that connect that work to? It's connecting the work immediately to commercial exercise. That's not quite what I think many artists envision for what they're offering our world.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I hope to see are more spaces that enter into fruitful collaborations when we are looking for space. Like, we have been so fortunate, the two organizations, to spend time and get to know and grow together. This could exist so many more places.
You mean a space like that?
Yeah.
Well, the collaboration and the sharing of resources and
Well, I think you have to start out knowing this is not going to be a money-making thing in your life. You make your living, but you're never going to make more. You're not going to buy a luxurious house, but you have to kind of feel, I love it. Yeah. It's fun.
We've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of fun. We've seen so many different artists and experiences and been able to be in this community and feel grounded. I think that has been very important. And I hope that future generations can feel that sense of being grounded inside of themselves, inside of their communities, and not feel what the tendency has been in New York is a tendency of displacement, is a tendency of scarcity, is a tendency of needing wealth to be able to occupy space on those ideas We've been actively pushing back on those ideas, even if we're not explicit about them, you know?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Do you want to ask another question?
Not really. You said it all.
Something else to say,
You said it all.
Want to say something else?
You said it all.
I want to say that I love you, Hannah.
Oh,
I do.
You know I love you.
I know, but I want to say
for all those years.
I love you, and I'm so grateful.
And you are included, and she knows it.
Of course.
We don't have to tell. I think we've been so great together.
We've been lucky.
We have never argued. We have maybe thought the other person was entirely wrong, but we've never really gone out there and said, go away and, you're all wrong. We've never argued. We've always just thought, because we understand each other. It's not from meanness, so.
That's how you treat family.
Yeah, I guess so.
Not everyone.
The ones you keep, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd like to add something, seeing your dynamic together. It's so refreshing, and it gives me hope, because the art world is so cutthroat nowadays. They spit out artists, there's no value for the artist as a human and as a person. And I think what you both have done, you've created a space where artists can feel value not only in their work, but as a human. Every time I'm in this space, or every time I'm doing projects here, I really do feel like this is a place of love and a place of growth, and I never feel scared to mess up here, and because I feel like I'm supported. So both of
That's kind of a good thing to say, what you just said. Not to be scared to mess up.
Yeah.
It's totally accepted that you will do what you can do.
Yeah. And that is a special kind of relationship and energy y'all have fostered. Don't think that this is a normal thing. What you have is so special, and outside is not always like that. So HCX is almost like, when I'm feeling scared, I run to you. It just feels like a
Come to
safe
FiveMyles.
haven. So just want
Yeah.
to
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And that's very much
Yeah.
appreciated. And to know that
Yeah.
that is the feeling is, I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
I'm not the only one who shares that feeling. So a lot of right side.
Yes, but look what good people they get to work for them.
I come back. I always come back.
Exactly.
I have to. This is home.
Like
It's home.
between the, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.